All right, a quick lesson on whole rests, half rests, and quarter rests. Now, the first thing we have to recognize is the fact that a rest value has time. It has volume, it has weight, just like a note value. You know that a quarter note gets 1 beat, a half note gets 2 beats, etc. A quarter rest also gets 1 beat, and a half rest also gets 2 beats. They do have value. It's not just silence for a moment, okay, or for an unmeasured time. The reason they're called half rests and whole rests are because they have different lengths of time. They have duration, right? And this is something we're going to actually practice on our instruments. Okay, so the whole rest hangs from a line, and this is something that people get confused on a lot with between whole rests and half rests. The whole rest hangs from a line. It hangs below a line, right? On the 5-line staff, it hangs from the 4th line, right? It's always in that 3rd space, 1, 2, 3. Whole rests and half rests are always in that 3rd space, right? And so the whole rest hangs below the 4th line, and it has 4 counts, just like the whole note, right? But it's also called a whole measure rest because it can be used in any time signature for an empty measure. Just because a whole rest technically gets 4 beats, it is also a universal symbol for a full measure rest. So you could put a whole rest in 2/4 time. You could put a whole rest in any time signature, and it just doubles as representative of a whole measure rest. So when you need to practice drawing some whole rests in these empty measures, so just remember that you're hanging below the 4th line. So you need to be here, something like that. Would look good. Okay, and you can carry on, just practice drawing a few of those. A little bit of investigation. Circle the correct whole rests. All right, so find the ones that are in the 3rd space and that are hanging off that 4th line. That's how you recognize a whole rest. Right. The half rest looks similar to the whole rest, as you can see. It's very, very similar, in fact, but it sits on top of a line. On the 5-line staff, it sits on the 3rd line. Notice how this is also in the 3rd space, but it's sitting above the 3rd line, not hanging below the 4th line. Okay. The half rest also gets 2 counts, just like the half note. Okay. So let's go back for just a second. If I was in 4/4 time, counting whole rests and half rests, I'm just got a metronome going here. 1, 2, 3, 4. A whole rest would last a whole bar. Right? A half rest, on the other hand, would just last 2 beats, or half the bar. It would go. Okay, and of course you would need 2 of them to fill each bar, which is why they say here, draw 2 half rests in each of these empty measures. The reason they want you to do 2 in each measure is because you need two of them to fill the empty bars. Let's say you had 4/4 time, right? You would need 2 of them to get 4 beats worth of time, because each of them gets 2 counts. So up above the 3rd line, and they're sitting inside that 3rd space. All right, that's how you would draw pretty well written half rests. Now the exercise at the bottom, complete each measure with an appropriate rest where needed. Obviously these are going to be whole rests or half rests. You can see the time signature, 4/4 time. So you know that you need 4 beats in a bar. Investigate each bar. Do you have 4 beats here? If yes, move on. Do you have 4 beats here? If yes, excellent. If no, see how many beats of time you do have, fill in the rest as appropriate. Okay, so do that real quick. We'll take it up in class. Okay, pause the video right now, finish that worksheet. Go. And then moving on to quarter rests. These, of course, just like quarter notes, they get 1 beat of space, 1 beat of silence. So again, if you're in a time signature, 3, 4, it's just 1 beat. Okay, and that sound I'm making is just an audible sound to show a rest. You'd be 1 beat of rest. The quarter rest looks kind of like a lightning bolt to me. That's how I recognize it. Some people say it looks like a weird letter Z, 1, 2, 3, like a Z with a curly Q off the bottom. Other people have different interpretations of what it actually is. If you want to use this little strategy here of how to draw it, zigzag, zig, curve, that works. You know, a lot of people draw their quarter rests in different ways because they just have their own unique style. You know, some people draw a quarter rest exactly like that, three angled lines and a curve and a curl. Some people are more like this. You know, there really is nothing that looks like a quarter rest anywhere else in music. So if it looks quite jagged and curled on the bottom, that really does basically represent a quarter rest, okay? This example right here might be a little bit, you know, on the verge of not looking like a quarter rest, but essentially you want to stay within the lines, all right? Have a look at the example here. Okay, it should go over the three middle lines, but stay inside the outer lines. You don't want to go outside the staff like I did here. Okay, so that would not be correct. But here I just stayed within the staff. Here I stayed within the staff. So those ones certainly would be fine. You know, if you keep practicing, you can just, it'll work. It'll work for you, okay? A little bit of investigation. Circle the correctly drawn quarter rests. So which ones sit within the staff? Which ones zig to the right first? Generally, that's the most. Those are the most important things to look for. Okay. Complete this piece with quarter rests where needed. So again, just like the bottom of the previous page, investigate the music. You're in 4/4 time, so you need 4 beats per bar. Do you have 4 beats here? Do you have 4 beats here? Check each bar and decide if you need a quarter rest to fill in that extra beat. Right. If you do need an extra beat, chances are it'll be obvious where to put them, where to put it, okay? So in this first bar, you can see there's 1 beat, 2 beats, 3 beats. Only 3 beats in 4/4 time, we're missing something. Where would I put that quarter rest? Well, notice how they give you lots of space here. That's the spot where they want you to put the quarter rest, okay? Same thing goes for the next bar. Notice how they put a quarter note, big gaping hole, quarter note, quarter note. So it kind of visually gives it away anyway. But fill in those spots with quarter rests where needed. And then complete the phrases below. This is just a quick review of the last 2 pages. The blank rest is worth how many quarter notes? The blank rest is worth this many quarter notes, and this one we just did is worth so many quarter notes. All right, finish that up. We'll take up all of this stuff in class, of course, and answer any questions you have. There really shouldn't be a problem. This is pretty rudimentary theory stuff, and we'll carry on to the next lesson. All right, take care. See you next time.